Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. I'm a virtual avatar in Developers Shore. I hope you're all doing well and ready to learn. Before we get started, I just wanted to take a moment to invite you to become a member of the Great Devs. As a member of the Developers Shore community, you'll have access to our job opportunities, activities, and future webinars. You can join us by responding to our invitation email or completing the form on our website. Also, a recording of this webinar will be on our LinkedIn page. Without further ado, let's dive into today's topic. Please give a warm welcome to our speaker.
Hey everyone. It's an honor to be here, and let's start talking about Qwik, the topic of today. So I will share my screen. Let me know if you have any kind of problem about the audio, something like that. So I can basically start. Okay, you should see my screen. Let's present it. So this talk is Qwik, a new mental model is here. So let's start talking about real world application. And most of the application are not hello world, let me say. So hello world are usually fast and really performance, but most of the time our application are more complex than that. So we have beautiful images, we have interaction, and so on and so forth. Let me check a little bit if it's okay. No message on the chat, so I think it's good. Okay, so usually when we have great setups like this one and good connections, this kind of application are quite smooth. But when we are in a low connectivity area, like in a metro or something like that, we have some problems. So as a developers, we used to put some loading state to wait for the backend answer response, and then the user interface is quite creepy. So we used to put this kind of a loading to wait for the user interaction. Okay, so most of the sites do not pass core web vitals because they have this kind of great interactivity. So a lot of JavaScript and so on and so forth. So most of the sites do not pass these core web vitals because this is the amount of JavaScript in a page over time. So as you can see here, in July 2011, we have a low JavaScript, but in 2022, we have a big amount of JavaScript inside of the page because the pages are, and also the application are more complex. So, you know, we have a lot of JavaScript to download into the browser. So I check this website. This is a website to buy tickets for flights, and I check this website into Page Speed Insights. This is a site where we can check our metrics, and as you can see here, the performances are really bad. And the most important thing is that we have time to interactive 23 seconds. This is a metrics calculated on slow 4G and with a mobile device, you know, but this is a really bad performance because time to interactive is 23 seconds. There is another website. You can find this website inside of builder.io. Builder.io is the company behind Qwik, the framework that we are looking today. And this website is give you something more than the previous one. You can see that we run the same check of core web vitals in this website. And we can see that if we optimize images, we are able to have a time to interactive 8 seconds. If we optimize the CSS, 7 seconds, and if we finally optimize the JavaScript, we are able to reach 2 seconds time to interactive. Let me check again the chat if anyone has problem. Oh, okay, great. So these are the most 50 the 50 top e-commerce website. The font is a little bit small, but in the first position there is Amazon.com, then Walmart, Apple, and so on and so forth. As you can see, these are the metrics that we are extract from this website. In the first column, there is the current score. Then we have the optimized images, optimized CSS, optimized JavaScript. And as you can see, Amazon is quite good, even if can be better. Maybe they spend a lot of money in research for get really great performances, but all the other websites are not good, let me say. And if we finally we are able to optimize the JavaScript, most of them are good, are green. So I think the problem is the bottleneck. The bottleneck is the JavaScript. As you can see, if we finally optimize the JavaScript, we are able to have good performances. Great. So who is the responsible for these slow sites? Are the developers? Are the frameworks? I don't think that all these websites has bad teams. So I think the problem can be a framework behind these websites. So let's imagine we have a vanilla website with HTML and CSS, only HTML and CSS, and no JavaScript. So only if we click on some particular button, we interact with the page, we are able to download and execute the JavaScript needed for interact with the page. So if we click on order details, we are able to download the JavaScript that order details needs, and we execute that specific JavaScript to animate the website. So in the first render, only HTML and CSS, and only if we click somewhere, we are able to execute a small part of JavaScript. Great. This is a amazing concept, and with this great concept, Qwik was born. Qwik now is in version 0, so it's close to the version 1. And with this concept to render only the HTML and CSS, and then if the user interact with the page, execute only the JavaScript for that particular page. Qwik was born, as I mentioned before. We have with Qwik a lot of cloud integrations, because Qwik born for be in the edge, like in the cloud providers. So we have Netlify, Vercel, Azure, Cloudflare. We have a Google Cloud as well, and soon we will have the AWS Lambda integration. I'm working in AWS Lambda integration. I work for Clarinet, that is a consultancy partner for AWS. For me, was a good task to take, to integrate the AWS Lambda inside of a Qwik framework. But let's move on. Let's move on to see a demo about Qwik. So let me share the whole screen. I think it's better. Okay, the entire screen. Great. And here I have a demo about Qwik. So this is a Qwik application straight from the starter. You have a CLI. Oh, we have a CLI. I think you can see the screen. Yeah, we have a CLI to create a Qwik application. And as you can see, we have a normal server-side rendering application. We have the source folder. Inside of the source, we have components, we have routes, we have a public folder as well, node modules, so on and so forth. But let's go deep into the Qwik. So here we have some Qwik components. We have the routes. We have a file-based routing. So if we have deps, we have /deps and signal as well. And the index is the home page. Then we have the possibility to create a wrapper and it's called layout. Instead of index, I create a Qwik component. To create a Qwik component, we need to declare component $. The syntax here is JSX, more or less like React, because the team doesn't want to reinvent the wheel for the templating system, and basically we use the JSX syntax that is the most popular at the moment. So you need to create, as I mentioned before, component $, that is an API straight from the Qwik library. And then we can use signals or states to manage the states. I create a simple function, myHandleClick, that is going to console log something from dependency. So here we are using Lodash and the.js to log the dates. And we are incrementing the state, a counter. This signal here is used in the bottom of the component. So we have a button, we have a counter, and we have this special on click with the $. And then we, every time we click the button, we call myHandleClick. But as you notice, we have a lot of $. But what are these $? These dollars basically are the markers that we are putting into the templating to instruct the compiler and the optimizer to extract this particular part in a specific chunk. So let me explain better. So we are saying, okay, you can take this function here and create a specific file with only this code here. So the core team is developing the templating part, the logic, the state, but it also is developing the compiler. And also when we run the build, we run the Qwik core team code. So basically is able to traverse all our components and check all these $, and create a specific file or a bunch of this function grouped in one specific file, depends on some logic, and are able to create a lot of chunks. So basically in a normal application, normal front-end application, when we build our final JavaScript, our final bundle for the production, we have one big JavaScript like 2 megabytes. With Qwik is different because for every $, the optimizer can create one specific chunk. So let's run a build. So npm run build. And we are saying that here is creating a lot of chunks. And it's creating also this qmanifest.json. So if I click here, this is a map that is going to reconciliate the code with the chunks. And if we look at my handle Qwik here, this is the name of my function, we're saying that this is the hash that the optimizer is creating for us. If we look at this hash here, we can say that is the optimizer create a specific file for that function. So remember these three characters, 3FA, and then we will see in our preview, in our application, this file. So if we run the application, npm run preview, under the hood is going to use Vite, the web server Vite, with some plugins, Qwik CD, Qwik Vite, and basically is using Vite, is using some plugin, but under the hood is using also SWC to traversing all the components and understand the dollar sign, and is using Rust. So under the hood, we are when we execute a build, a Rust code optimize all the final result, final bundle for us. Let's open our application. This is a starter application. And if we look at the network tab, maybe I can zoom a little bit. If I refresh, as you can see, we have no JavaScript. So no JavaScript hit the browser. If we inspect the page, we see a bunch of HTML and CSS. That's all. There is only a small amount of JavaScript here. This is a quick loader. This JavaScript here is able to listen to our interaction and download the specific chunk we need for interact with the page. So as you can see here, the state of the application is paused. And as soon as we click on the count, the state is resumed. That's why when we talk about Qwik, we say that is a resumability framework. That's because we have this state resumed. Okay, so this loader is going, as you can see here, we have event listener. So we are listening for some clicks. And then if we go to the network tab, we refresh to check. When I click, the framework is executing these three chunks. And here we have the 3FE file. That is our myHandle function. So if we look at the preview, we can see that we have this function here. We have into the code. The code here. This code here. Okay, so only if we interact with the page, we pay for the execution of this JavaScript. These files are served from a service worker. So under the hood, if we look at the application and into the service worker, under the hood, the service worker is pre-buffering all this chunk for us. So when we click on the button, we executing the JavaScript that is already in our cache, let me say. So here in console, we have the two console log we saw before. But another interesting thing is that all the external dependency like Lodash and Day.js as well. This is code from Day.js, and this is the Lodash library. We are paying the execution of the external dependency only if we use them. In a normal application, when we integrate a lot of external libraries, we used to have a big bundle at the end. Here is completely different with this new bundle. Only if we interact with, if we use the library, we are paying for that. Great. So here, as I mentioned before, we have a lot of integration. By the way, is working also with without JavaScript, because it's a server-side rendering approach. And okay, and we saw also the cache with the service worker. So let's jump again to the slides. Okay, so we saw that from the pause we pass to the resume, and that's the resumability approach. Is more or less like a virtual machine. So if we have a virtual machine, we can log in ourselves into the machine, into the window or Mac, Linux, whatever, and then we can open an Excel or maybe a notepad, and then we can pause this virtual machine. We can copy the virtual machine in another colleague or another PC, and then we can replay. So we press the play button to resume the virtual machine. And if we were logged, now we are logging it again. So we don't need to reopen the status. The status is still there. So we are doing more or less the same things with the HTML. So we are bundling all the things, we are shipping into the browser, and as soon as the user click on the button, interact with the page, we resume the state. So as we mentioned before, we executing all the logic in the server, we pause the state, we pass all these things with a serialized state and HTML and CSS. And then if the user interact with the browser, we are able to resume the framework. So with a classic approach, we mentioned a little bit earlier about this. When we grow in functionality, so we are creating a big application, the amount of JavaScript is growing as well. So more functionality means more JavaScript, basically, with a classic approach. With a Qwik approach, this kind of correlation is broken, because we can have a lot of functionality, but if the user interact only with a minimal part of this application, we pay the execution of the JavaScript of that page, of that part of the page. So we are broken the correlation between functionality and amount of JavaScript. And it's so cool. This new mental model is able to break the correlation, and all the other frameworks are really completely different. It's not another framework from the front end, but is basically a different one. So with a traditional framework, the JavaScript we are executing in time, of course, because here we have the time. In time is always, so if we are running a traditional application, we execute 2 megabytes at the startup. With a resumable framework, interaction to interaction, we are executing the JavaScript needed. So here a complexity versus JavaScript. So the amount of JavaScript when the complexity of the application is growing, with Qwik is only 1 kilobyte. The quick loader we saw before. With the other frameworks, when we move ourselves from a hello world application to a big application, or medium big application, the JavaScript is going up, up, up. So resumability, we saw before, is different from the hydration. Hydration is the server-side rendering approach we are saying we have with a normal server-side rendering framework. With the hydration, we execute the logic into the server, we serialize all the things, and we ship this JavaScript HTML to the browser, and we replay. So the hydration replay all the logic into the browser, rebuild the virtual DOM, and then finally the user can interact with the page. The result is that the hydration cost during the startup, this is a performance recording, is quite high. So the hydration executes the logic 2 times into the server and then again into the browser. So here I would like to show you a showcase about the API, but I think we don't have time. We are a little bit in rush. Real use cases about Qwik. We have in the Builder.io, we have a showcase session with a lot of great applications. And as you can see here, we have this metric here is going to say, okay, this website is 100% okay with core web vitals. And as you can see, most of them are okay, because basically with new mental model of Qwik, out of the box, we have a good metrics, because the first render with a normal connection is HTML and CSS is really blazing fast. It's really fast with a normal connection, and HTML and CSS only, without any kind of JavaScript, as we mentioned before. I built this website, e-commerce website, quickstorefront.venture.io. You can go into the e-commerce, look at it. It's free, open source, and then under the hood, it's a real application. It's really, really fast, but it's a real application because it is communicating with a remote server with GraphQL. Okay, give me feedback if you want. You can open issues if you find something that can be better. Qwik community. Great part of Qwik is also the community is very welcoming. A lot of great developers. All the developers are there to help the others and grow Qwik project. So here you have the official website, and you can find the docs inside here. Here you have the Discord server. In this Discord server, we had a lot of news, announcements, and stuff like that. And then here you can find a first design component library of component with Qwik. So we can use a library of component that is using the Qwik API, because Qwik API are really different from the others. So the benefit you have using Qwik, you still have the same benefit when you are using the components library, because the component library is using Qwik as well. We can integrate the React inside of Qwik, okay? We can do it with a special API, but we are losing, if we include the React, we are losing the benefit of Qwik. So it's a good thing have a design library based on Qwik API. I'm a maintainer of this project, and this project has the accessibility as first citizen. We would like to have 100% of accessibility, because accessibility is really important, and we are working hard to have this to reach this 100% level. I'm Giorgio Boa, a full stack developer for Clarinet. You can find me on Twitter. My handle is Giorgio_Boa. and I used to repost and post articles about front end in Qwik, of course. And you can find me also on LinkedIn with my name and surname. Thank you. Let's check. Thanks. Okay, the recording will be available soon on LinkedIn. Great. Any question? I don't know if we have time for questions. If you have any question, you can simply contact me on LinkedIn, Twitter. If you have a question tomorrow, next week, or if you would like to use Qwik and you would like to have an help, I'm really happy to help you. Any question? No question? I have prepared one question in the meanwhile. When is not good using Qwik? Let me say, when you have an old application, maybe you don't want to refactor all the application for Qwik. Maybe is the application is there, basically is give you revenue, and you don't want to create new features on top of it. This is a special case, let me say, and I think refactoring all the application and all the application to be compliant with Qwik, to using Qwik for that is not a good case. If you have a public website, I think it's a good way to a good domain to use Qwik, because is really powerful and allows you to have 100% SEO, search engine optimization, because as we mentioned before, we are able to ship only HTML and CSS. It's really fast. We don't have any kind of question, so I think that's all. So the recording will be available in LinkedIn. So thanks for being here, for listening. And if you like, follow me on Twitter. Have a nice day. Bye.
Our webinar has come to an end. I'd like to extend a big thank you to everyone for participating, and a special thank you to the speaker for a captivating topic. It was a pleasure having you all here today. Have a great rest of your day.